For more on this story, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Philip Turl. Good to see you, Philip. What can you tell us about Viktor Babariko and the charges against him?
Well, first of all, 14 years is only 1 year short of the maximum term that was handed down to him today. That means he has no right of appeal and is going to be kept in a high-security prison, which basically also means that this is another way of the authorities in Belarus trying to snuff out any possibility of opposition to President Lukashenko. That's how it's being looked upon by the opposition and also by the international community. So why is he in jail? Well, principally because Viktor Babariko was a former head of the Belgazprom Bank, which belongs to the Russian Gazprom organization. He earned a large amount of money while he ran that organization, so decided to run for politics, announced his candidacy back in May last year, saying he was running for president. He had to achieve 100,000 signatures to become a candidate. He got 425,000, and just as he was about to run, he was arrested on charges of money laundering. Basically, what the authorities are saying is that he managed to siphon off $430 million and sent that off to a private account in Lithuania. He's protested his innocence, but this is another in a long line of opposition figures who have been removed. The only one who managed to get through the election was Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who then went into exile. And many people say that she actually was the rightful winner of that election back in August. But of course, it was rigged in favor of the outgoing President Lukashenko, who then got a new term in office.
Now the UN Human Rights Council, Philip, has issued a report saying that there have been unprecedented human rights violations in Belarus, and they've called on authorities to end the policy of repression. What exactly did this report say?
Well, it's pretty grim reading if you go through that report with a fine-tooth comb. There are a whole series of appalling human rights abuses going on in Belarus, massive police violence against protesters. Here are some of them on the screen for you. Cases of enforced disappearance, allegations of torture and ill treatment and intimidation and harassment of civil society actors. That also includes teachers down the line who are unable to express their opinions and who face sanctions or even imprisonment for doing so. So there is tremendous pressure on the leadership of Belarus to change all that. Of course, they're not going to do that anytime soon. In the meantime, what we are seeing is that more migrants are trying to flee over the border into Lithuania, and there is a feeling that paying back the EU for sanctions against the leadership in Belarus, the authorities there are saying to the migrants, right, you can go over the border into the EU, we're not going to stop you. And we've seen a massive increase in the amount of refugees getting into Lithuania, which means that Frontex, the border control agency within the EU, has had to send in reinforcements because the number has more than doubled in the last few days.
And remember one Sunday a couple of months ago, there was a Ryanair flight that was diverted to Minsk, and a 25-year-old Belarusian journalist, Roman Protasevich, was arrested. Do we have any news on him?
Well, since that interview that he gave a month ago to Belarusian television, a very strange interview as though he was a political figure, this was a man who was being held in detention and facing 15 years in jail, even possibly the death penalty. Put on television, you could see around his hands marks where he'd obviously been handcuffed and held in detention, bursting into tears at the end of that interview, saying that he wanted to get married and have a normal life. And of course, that is something that is far away at the moment. Since then, no news. What we've been informed about, what the only news coming out is that he's no longer in prison, but is in under surveillance in a residence. But in fact, we don't know how he is, what conditions he's being held in. What is happening is that there is a campaign visibly by the Belarusian authorities to try to smear him by saying that he was a member of this far-right neo-Nazi group, Azov, fighting in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine against Russian forces as a way of trying to intimidate him. There have been a lot of checks on the internet about this, fake, no fake inquiries into it. It hasn't been established that he was in that region, but he says as a journalist. But this is another reason to try to stop him from having any ability to come back and to put up some kind of proper defence in his favour.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Philip Turl there.